A shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
It's time to talk about the new Ben Affleck film that everybody seems to love. I don't know Thomas's thoughts, so I'm just going to start out. I didn't really care for this, just opening thoughts. I thought it was pretty flat. I thought that Ben Affleck's direction was really uninteresting. I thought that the screenplay was kind of dull. I don't think that historical films and biopics work when the entire plot and climax of the film hinges in around an event that everybody obviously knows is going to happen. Like the Air Jordan is the most recognizable shoe in history, probably. So I don't think that you can make the entire plot like, will they get the deal done? I don't know. But I did think that Viola Davis was like very, very good, even if she was in like literally 4 scenes. But anyways, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So this is it's annoying because a lot of what this film was doing, I quite enjoyed. I was there for a lot of the story. You know, it did somehow invest me in this sort of story of a shoe licensing agreement sort of thing. It's not the most interesting concept, but it sold it. I think that is partially the performances. I thought they were quite good. Matt Damon, I thought, was just giving it all for no real reason. Like he didn't really.
He's fine.
But he's pretty good. He's pretty good. And a lot of the screenplay, it's sort of that very baity sort of thing that it's doing, where
slamming.
Exactly, and you can quote it without you can finish these sentences, you can do all of those kind of stuff. So it's exactly where the screenplay is going, exactly what that's doing. But it works. It does work, and I think technically it's not the most interesting thing. It's doing some weird stuff that I don't think is necessary. The sort of thing where it cuts to like the rules of Nike company. I'm like, great. Why? And the climax was really where the film lost me. I was like, it's when Matt Damon comes out and then he screams, "We close the deal." And then there's a brief pause, there's a brief silence. And genuinely, I was like, is this the climax? Is this really and it's just not fulfilling. You don't get the right emotion out of it. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it is, as you say, because of the idea that we already know exactly where it's going. We knew the ending of this film before. Potentially that is why the climax.
Yeah, I guess sorry, spoilers, everybody, for like the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the climax didn't work, which was annoying because I did think a lot of the build up there actually did. So those are my
it's fun. I wasn't ever really bored, I guess.
Exactly. I wasn't bored. I was invested in the idea of what was going on. But
yeah, everything about this film just felt serviceable. Nothing felt like it was going above and beyond. Like everything was just like, they set the bar, like the ambitions of this film were very low. They set the bar low, and did it meet the ambitions of what they were going for? Like maybe, like it kind of did. Like they wanted to just tell a very straightforward, this is what happened.
Yeah,
and they did that, but that doesn't mean that that is the most compelling thing. Like I've always said, if you're going to do a historical film, I think the most interesting thing to do is to take an introspective look at the psyche of the actual people, and then just use the historical events as the backdrop, because we can read about this event. Like you could literally get this exact same story and exact same experience as watching this film through a Wikipedia article. Like I think that like the story is very, but like it's just like you can just read this story. It isn't giving us anything new, and I think it's so much more interesting to like look at the characters.
Sure, but I think that may have been more interesting. I think it's harsh calling this a Wikipedia article. I do think there is emotion there. And I do think a lot of that is derived from the performances, which I clearly think were a little better than you'd clearly seem to. But yeah, so I do think that's harsh calling it a Wikipedia article, when I do think it does sort of try. I do think there is an attempt to make you care about the story. And I do think for me that worked, and for a lot of it's a very crowd pleasing type thing. And it's very open in those ambitions. Like it's not trying to be anything different.
Like, yeah.
But I don't think that idea is like not worth telling again. Like it's just, these things work. They are crowd pleasing for a reason, and I appreciate the fact that this film just didn't decide to do anything. It just decided to, this is what we're going with. This is the ambition. We're just gonna have a nice, baity sort of crowd pleasing sort of thing, and deliver that emotional experience.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's great. Like I don't know. I just think the biggest problem with this film is that it lacked energy. And like that's the thing I keep on coming back to. I think that everything about this film is so just like I don't know, it just feels so like flat, and like it's never allows itself to be explosive. And I feel like this film could have been like the climax, like you could have painted it, you could have edited and shot it in like an explosive way, and it just isn't. Like it feels very flat. I feel like that just like the entire third act, it feels like it's gonna end like 5 times, and then it just keeps on
Yeah,
going.
that's what I'm saying. I think the climax definitely. I felt. I agree with you.
Then
That I
I
think the
guess, like,
climax felt like it lacked
because
this
the
sort of
climax
energy.
and the entire third act didn't work, it kind of just makes all of the very derivative, plain, we've all seen it before build up kind of not worth it either, because all that's fine. Like I wasn't bored during any of that, but if that's all you're gonna give me for the first 2 acts, and then the third act just kind of like fumbles it, like what was the point of having this like derivative plain first 2 acts? It doesn't.
I think it was well done. I do think it does invest you in the story, though. So I do think the story works. It's just that it didn't end right. I think that there could have been a better way to do this climax. Maybe that's direction. Maybe that's all of these kind of stuff. But I do think the actual journey
Like,
to get to the climax
everything with
is
Viola's
worth
great.
it.
I would have much rather seen this focus around Viola, because I thought that Viola Davis was pretty incredible. I thought that she was by far the best part of this film. Every single scene where she's in, I feel like you're just immediately drawn into emotionally, and I just didn't really feel anything for the other character. Like it feels like it's making like half-hearted attempts at like character development, like Jason Bateman, like, oh, I'm divorced and my daughter got to get the shoes to my daughter, and it's like it just felt so half-hearted and like arbitrary, like, oh, we got to develop these characters a little bit before the finale, and it's like, but I don't know, it like you knew exactly where it was going the entire time, everything, like down to like, when it's like, oh, this phone call, oh, it wasn't it, like, exactly what phone call was going to be the one from Viola, like every single thing down to like the beat, down to the edit is so predictable with this film. So if it's going to be so predictable, at least tell the story in an interesting way. And I feel like they just chose to tell the story in the most basic, straightforward way as possible, which then made me like, then why did we tell it in such a, I don't know.
But I guess this just comes from, I thought it was slightly more emotionally resonant. I did think the story was slightly more engaging. I do think the performances were there to bring that. I do think the screenplay, as I said, it's baity, but it's that sort of bait that just fills you with the sort of joy. And then I think as a climax, it really fumbled the bag. So I wouldn't necessarily say I came out overall positive on this film, just because,
didn't.
as you say,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. But I do think there is a lot of positives that you can derive from it. I do still think it is a watchable experience. I do still think it is enjoyable and it's
like,
worthwhile.
If you're going to be a crowd pleaser, you have to stick the landing. Like, a crowd pleaser doesn't work for the first 2 acts. That's not why you go to see a crowd pleaser. Like,
but I'm saying that the first 2 acts make it worth it within themselves, because I thought it did. It was worth it within itself. So
I don't know.
I know, just because the climax didn't quite stick landing, I wouldn't necessarily write this whole film off. Just because.
Yeah, I don't just like, I feel like it's gonna be so forgettable. Like, I cared about 2 scenes.
Oh, I don't doubt that I'm not going to remember this by next week.
Like,
I do not doubt that.
Literally, like Viola's phone call sequence with Matt Damon, great, incredible. Viola, like, master. And then I also thought that Matt Damon's monologue was like pretty good. Like,
yes. Yeah,
that was about it. Like this, but like there's just some weird like cinematography choices. Like at times it felt like it was Succession, where it was like, oh, we're gonna do like shaky cam. Oh, quick.
Yeah, and instead it just gets closer and closer. And at one point, it's just Matt Damon's like chin is in shot. I know. It's just his chin.
Like there's nothing. Bad imitation of the Succession style.
Yeah, and there's like zooms in on like receipts or whatever. I'm like, why? Yeah. Why Ben Affleck? Why did you choose that? What artistic choice is there?
He was doing a bad imitation of Succession. That's literally what was happening. He was doing a bad Succession imitation, and like,
sure, yeah.
And like, I know the editing choices, as we said, like it's decently well paced. I think if this movie was any longer, it would have gotten even more annoying. I think
I do think
editing in the climax was
breezed
bad.
by. Yeah,
like,
I think it did breeze by though.
And like, I know, just I don't know though. Like again with the climax, like they do the text on screen, of course, but the text on screen happens for like 10 minutes. Okay, like it starts and then it's like stops for, and then comes back in, and it's like going. I don't know. It's so weird.
Also, there's some really pointless information it gives me, like the stuff about Sonny. Like, really, for the main character of the film, you couldn't find anything slightly more interesting past the events of this film. No, guess not. Okay, cool. But yeah, text screen endings always, it just rubbed me.
But the fact that like the text to screen was drawn out over 10 minutes, like,
well,
what was the purpose of, I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know. I just
say overall, did I have a good time watching this? Yeah. Was I entertained for most of the time? Yes. Therefore, it's hard for me to just completely write off a film just because the ending wasn't quite
like
fulfilling.
I didn't hate it. Like I
Yeah.
said, I thought everything was serviceable. It was all like it all did its job. It's just that the job wasn't really that hard, and it kind of messed up with its job a couple times. Like,
Okay, it's an interesting way of looking at it. But yeah, I'd say the journey is worth it. And if you have any interest in watching this film, I would go out and watch it because you'll probably get what you want.
I don't like. My dad didn't even like it that much. He thought it was just like fine. And it's like here, and we can transition. First, we can give ratings, and I want to talk about the Oscars briefly. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. I thought it was fine.
I'd be looking at a 6.5. 6.5. I'll go with.
Pick one, 6 or 7.
7. If you're forcing me to pick.
Okay. So that's where we land on ratings. Let's talk about the Oscars briefly because I don't know who the audience of this film is. I don't think it really is targeting like the dads or like the people who are in sports because it's kind of disconnected from. Like I don't really know like who's.
Yeah, it's not a Michael Jordan movie. Like you get very well acquainted with Michael Jordan's chin as well in this film.
Yeah, like I genuinely don't know who the audience for this movie is. Like,
no, I don't think it's going to make the money, and I don't think it's going to have the passion it needs to sustain momentum until the end of the year. Which I always felt would be a problem with this film.
Great reviews either. Like,
yeah, exactly. But even when we first heard the concept, like, are people going to be passionate about this film with this concept by the end of the year? I always sort of had thoughts that
and it looked like maybe after South by Southwest, but after seeing it, like, I don't think so. And like,
no, I don't think I'm going to care about it by the end of the week. So I don't think many people will, to be honest.
And like,
listen, I'm one of the ones who came
in the Midwest,
more positive from it. Yeah,
I'm living in the middle of Illinois. Okay, this should be the target like area for this movie. It was all like generally like older people, like or like middle-aged people, right? And there was like the crowd was very unenthused. Like people were there. There's like 20, 30 people in the crowd. Just very unenthused. Nobody was like super into it. A couple people laughed a couple of times. Like I don't think that this movie knows its audience, and I don't think it really knows entirely what it's wanting to do, like beyond just tell this story. And I don't even think it tells it in that interesting of a way. I also think Super Mario Bros. It's looking to clock in like 400 million opening weekend. Like it's that's kind of killing the box office buzz on this.
It is a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah.
I don't think that this movie will sustain all year. I really, really don't.
No, I really think Oscar chances, or many chances even. I know you mentioned Viola Davis off screen, but I didn't even know if that's gonna do.
No, I don't think Viola Davis will be an Oscar thing. I think that this movie will get 0 Oscar nominations. I'm saying Viola for like a random SAG nomination or like a Golden Globe supporting actress nomination.
Potentially, but a lot of those sorts of the random nominations do tend to be these sort of November, December, January releases. Like they're not always, but it's possible. But I don't really see that happening. I just don't think
Viola. SAG loves Viola. I think we could see like an Adam Sandler and Hustle type thing if supporting actress like isn't super strong, which as of now like it isn't super strong. Obviously we'll see throughout the year, but obviously
I don't know if she does enough. After watching the film, I don't know if she does enough.
Yeah, but she has the most memorable part of the movie, probably. Like she has one of the two most memorable parts of the movie. Like, and again, you just have to remember that these awards bodies love Viola. Like they love Viola.
I know that is the thing. I think it would just be riding off the name, but I don't know if the name is just enough to get like, everything she does gets nominated. I don't see that necessarily.
And again,
I think this is just
we're talking about menial things. We're saying like
we're talking about SAG supporting actress,
maybe a supporting actress nomination at precursors, but like definitely not the Oscars. And then also,
she is the best chance for the film. She is easily the best chance.
Or this could get like a random WGA nomination because they have all the ineligibilities. And like
that's more on a technicality,
right? That because it feels like that type of thing, like it's crowd pleasing and memorable, like whatever. But like, I really don't see this sticking throughout the year.
No.
And like, it doesn't really need to. It's not a great movie.
No, it's enjoyable for what it is. It is enjoyable for what it is, but
That isn't
Yeah.
enough for something that's coming out in April and probably won't make a lot of money.
Probably won't make enough money. Yeah, all of these kind of things won't be Amazon's first priority really anymore.
They have Saltburn.
Exactly.
As long as
They've
that
got
goes fine.
Saltburn. So as long as Saltburn gets good reviews, that should be their top
They'll
priority.
just ignore it. They'll just ignore it,
Yeah.
except for maybe a Viola push for SAG or Globes.
Potentially.
That's literally the only thing I could see happening. So, yeah, those are our thoughts on Air. It was fine. I don't know. Go see it if you'd like.
It was decent.
It's I thought it was better than Mario, but that isn't. It was comparable.
Yeah, I think weirdly it's better than a lot of films we've got this year. I don't think this year has been a great start. I don't think it's been a great start in terms of films. So hopefully,
Rye
there is
Lane.
more stuff.
Go watch Rye Lane again.
Rye Lane has easily been a standout this year so far.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully, when we get into these more summer season, all of those kind of stuff, hopefully we do start seeing some better films.
Absolutely. But thank you everybody for watching. Air. You can see the links in the description. Subscribe if you'd like or not. I don't care anyways. Goodbye.